G'day, you're watching Tech Finder. Now, in this video, I talk to Finder's tech editor, Chris Stead, all about Epic Games. You might have seen them in the news recently with their lawsuit against Apple. We don't get into that too much because it's a constantly evolving story, but believe me, it has a lot of big ramifications on the app stores and video games moving forward. In this chat, we talk about what Epic Games are doing in the console wars with Microsoft and Sony and all the big players in the video game industry. Epic Games now have a lot of influence over the video game industry and do look poised to change the shape of it over the next decade. So they're well worth knowing about, and in this video, Chris and I get to the bottom of exactly what we can expect out of Epic over the next 5 or so years. So with the release of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, we're at the next front of the console wars. I think people online probably don't fight them as much as they used to anymore, but they're happening. But I've invited you here today, Chris, because you've told me that there is a third player that we should really be looking out for.
Well, there's a big player and it's Epic Games. And I'm not sure how many gamers are aware of the role that Epic Games, I guess, is playing in who wins this next generation console war, or indeed how the chess pieces are moving in the background to position the players in an interesting way and what that means for the future of the way we're going to play games.
Okay. Tell me about Epic. What's their background?
Well, Epic's been 30 plus years now in the background. Look, they've made some great games, Epic. So the Unreal series, Unreal Tournament series, Gears of War series is them. On mobile, there was the Infinity Blade series. Shadow Complex is one of their games. Bulletstorm is one of their games.
All amazing.
Yeah, but possibly most recently, it's Fortnite.
Yeah.
So they are the makers of the biggest game in the world at the moment.
Yes. And it's been the biggest game in the world for almost 4 years now, right? Like it came out in 2017.
Yeah. I mean, like I think it's starting to plateau, or at least that's what we've been told. But as it's plateaued, Epic Games is like rolling in cash. Like they're making so much money out of this. And on top of that, they've started to acquire other big games that also talk to that idea of a free-to-play online environment where they can monetize things in certain ways. The biggest ones recently have been the purchase of Psionics. So the guys that made Rocket League.
Nice. Yeah.
So another massive game. And they also just recently purchased the guys that did Fall Guys.
Oh, right. Wow.
Right,
that was
so
quick.
So they snatched onto that pretty quick.
Yeah.
And of course, that's just the game side of things with Epic Games. Epic Games also has a humongous, possibly even bigger tech side. So you've got the Unreal Engine, the whole Unreal Engine middleware solution. Some of the biggest games that have ever been released use Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is a huge player in the industry. And it's been mostly used by big AAA publishers in the past, big publishers, and it's since become more accessible for indies and those mid-tier guys as well. So Unreal Engine's humongous, and they do a lot of other stuff that's not even necessarily gaming specific, like face animation tech and cloud-based storage stuff and all this kind of other stuff. And, Epic Games is massive.
Yeah, film industry use Unreal for a fair bit of stuff as well.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
Sony have recently invested in them, is that right?
Yeah, so this is where things get interesting, and this is kind of what I really wanted to talk to you about, because Sony is positioning itself, or it's better positioning itself for the PlayStation 5 era and beyond. And what it's done is it's invested a significant chunk of money into Epic Games. So that started around the time the PS5 came out. They made a $250 million US stake in Epic Games, and then as recently as April 2021 they doubled that. So they're positioning themselves as a stakeholder in Epic Games, and this therefore gives Sony and the PlayStation certain access and certain privileges which help position it in the spots where it's weak against Microsoft's offerings, right? So a couple of things, I guess. Microsoft, one of Microsoft's big plays is obviously Game Pass and the overall Xbox Live network and the ability to play things on PC or Xbox. You buy it once, you get it on both, like that. So being one of the things that Epic Games has going for it in more recent times is the Epic Games Store. So it's positioning itself very aggressively as an alternative to Steam, which has been the big, I guess, major player in the PC space. And it's been very successful in that. And what we've started to see already, ever since that first stake, is an increase in the amount of Sony games appearing on PC. And doing it through the Epic Games Store. So this partnership, one of the first tastes we got of this partnership was Sony being able to gain more revenue and more, I guess, reach with its key brands through the Epic Games Store. I think the next one comes up, Horizon.
Oh, they're just releasing it on PC as well?
They're releasing it on PC through the Epic Games Store, and that's something that you would technically consider a Sony-only exclusive, whereas a like-for-like game might be, for example, Halo, which will also be on PC and Xbox Series X. So it's positioning itself there in a good way. It also gets access to a huge server network because obviously Fortnite runs on Epic Games, and Epic Games' huge server network, and it's cloud-based storage. Now, Microsoft has Azure. So Microsoft has a huge, advantage there over what Sony can have access to necessarily. Like Sony isn't devoid of this stuff, but Azure is a step above. And now they've got with the Epic Games server network as well.
Right.
So whether they're getting using that to help buoy what they've already got themselves, or whether there's talks about potentially adopting onto that service in the future. But either way, it's further strengthening a weakness for Sony, potentially by buying a stake and becoming a stakeholder in this company. They're effectively a part owner, even though it's not a very big part in the grand scheme of things still. That's in play, and we're already starting to see that kind of relationship start to pan out in interesting ways. So we also have seen the first fruits of this relationship between Sony and Epic Games play out with Unreal Engine 5, which is the big new middleware solution. As I spoke to before, that's a huge part of the what's going to be a huge middleware solution for a lot of multi-format games.
Yeah, right.
Now, Sony has had trouble with Unreal Engine in the past, back in the PS3 generation when they had the cell processor, and they just could not get Unreal Engine to work well with that platform for a long time. Like the games that were on Unreal Engine played so much better on 360 than on PS3 for quite a substantial part of that generation. This time around, they've got a working relationship there. They used Unreal Engine 5 to showcase the PlayStation 5, so it's obviously a very close personal relationship they've got there in terms of that middleware, and that means that the multi-format games are going to start working a lot better on PlayStation 5 than they would have necessarily beforehand, and potentially better than Xbox Series X. Okay. So when you're talking about one of the reasons to care, for example, about this as a gamer is that if you're a Sony gamer, then you see this, you start going, okay, great. So these multi-format games are really going to work better on PlayStation 5 now.
Do you think we'll see them starting to release games early on the PS5 as opposed to straight to PC or the Xbox Series X at least? Or is that a little bit too anti-consumer?
I don't think that's Epic Games' play.
Yeah.
I don't think Epic Games would want that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessary. Obviously, anti-consumer. It's absolutely anti-consumer. And for anyone following the current Apple versus Epic Games fight, Epic Games isn't afraid to, I guess, stand up for. That's standing up for something for itself financially, but in the process of doing that, they're also standing up for everyone else.
Yes. Yeah.
In that, who's getting rickrolled by Apple every single day. I would be very surprised to see games be delayed, but they're going to work better. And technology such as haptic feedback and adaptive triggers and a 3D audio, which is exclusive to the PlayStation 5, will probably be way better integrated with Unreal Engine 5 as a result of that relationship. Will it be an obviously better experience? Time will tell. It'll be game by game. But there's definitely going to bear fruits for Sony in that regard, given the size of the middleware and the amount of developers using it. There's a few other bits and pieces as well that Epic Games brings that Sony wouldn't have been that strong on. So one of them is Epic Games has a stake in MagnaChain, so it's blockchain technology. I'm not sure how Epic Games is using this. I assume they'll be using this with Fortnite and Battle Pass and the things that you can buy through Fortnite, also probably with royalties in terms of the game store. Microsoft is also using blockchain technology. Sony has alluded to it, but I don't think they are. So by getting involved with Epic Games, they might also be getting involved with the blockchain side of things that Epic Games is working on in the background. And Epic Games also has a very successful mobile past as well. So there's a few games they're working on at the moment which are mobile based. I don't know how that's going to play out now that they've pissed Apple off. Infinity Blade obviously was a marquee Apple game.
That blew my mind when the first one came out on iPhone 4 or whatever it was. Amazing.
And there's no way that Sony and Microsoft, but particularly Sony, would not be seeing what Nintendo's achieved on mobile in the last couple of years and wouldn't be going, we want a piece of that.
Yeah, totally.
So they might also be buying into access to that as well. So like I said, lots of little subtle chess piece movements in the background here, kind of behind the scenes that you probably wouldn't know about. But when you add them all up and you start seeing, I understand why they're doing this, and they could end up throwing even more money. And especially when you add in Sony Pictures, because if there's the movie side of it as well, that they can benefit from.
Whole edge to that as well. So it sounds like the new console wars, or Sony versus Microsoft, is kind of being fought kind of like Captain America Civil War a little bit, little teams of companies teaming up to create something bigger that kind of couldn't be done on their own.
Well, I think it's just smart play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really. Like we can sit here and argue the toss about which console's better.
Yeah.
But Microsoft has a really compelling service in Game Pass. Like especially in post-COVID, it's like hard to ignore when you can get access to pretty much unlimited games. Good games.
It's pretty good.
All the first-party games for a very small subscription fee. Sony doesn't have that. Partnering with someone like Epic Games who has that storefront, which has that network, potentially that blockchain tech running it, the servers all set up and everything like that. Yeah. So that can start bridging the gap between where Sony may feel like it's not as strong as it could be, and then when you roll in on top of that, the quality of Sony first-party titles, the diversity in the Sony experience, it puts the PlayStation 5 in a good place. Nice. Moving forward.
So it sounds like for at least for gamers, we're going to get access to more games and more platforms at the end of the day.
Look, it's a smart move by Sony, and I think it's a big win all around for Sony gamers. And I don't think it'll negatively impact what Xbox is doing either. So it's just going to make for a better PlayStation product, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the future of games if I can just access them wherever I want.
Yeah, well, I know you like your PC games, so there you go.
Yeah, cool. All right, thanks. Thank you for watching. If you want to know a little bit more about the Apple versus Epic lawsuit, I've left a couple of links in the description that'll tell you all about that. But that's all for now. Please do hit subscribe if you enjoyed our little chat. We have plenty more on the way and a pretty decent backlog now of chats and reviews. Also, please do hit like if you felt like you learned something today. We always like to know if our videos are providing value to you. But yeah, until next time, I guess I'll see you next time.